Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever stepped into an old house and felt an immediate sense of its history? A feeling that the very walls and rooms were whispering stories, not just about the people who once lived there, but about an entire culture, a distinct way of life, and even ingenious solutions to the challenges of climate and social customs. Today, we're taking a deep dive into precisely that kind of place, the fascinating world of Philippine interior design. Our focus will be specifically on the iconic Bahay na Bato, the stone house that truly blossomed during the Spanish colonial period. This isn't just about architecture. It's really a living, breathing document of Filipino culture, reflecting centuries of adaptation and influence. We have a rich stack of sources for this deep dive, including some really in-depth excerpts from the USC B-side in 3131 Philippine Interior Design.pdf, alongside insights gleaned from visiting and studying historical homes like Casa Manila, Casa Gorordo, and Posada La Patriciana. Real gems. Our mission today is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from these incredible sources. We'll uncover how these homes were designed, what their carefully crafted spaces reveal about the people who inhabited them, and the clever, often surprising solutions they employed to live comfortably and socially. You'll gain a shortcut, hopefully, to being truly well-informed about a unique and historically significant architectural style, filled with surprising facts and more than a few aha moments. Get ready as we explore the intricate details, from expansive floor plans to a wide array of furniture, and the hidden meanings behind what might, at first glance, seem like simple design choices. So, as we begin to peel back the layers, what defines Filipino style in interiors, especially when we talk about these magnificent historical homes, it feels like it's far more than just aesthetics, right? It's deeper than just what looks good.
Absolutely. It is profoundly deeper. What's truly fascinating here, and what our sources immediately emphasize, is that while Filipino interiors are characterized by large, open spaces with carefully distinguished public and private areas, the underlying principle goes beyond mere function. If we connect this to the bigger picture, space in these homes was ordered not just according to its intended use, like where you eat or sleep, but profoundly, and I mean profoundly, according to behavior.
According to behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it means how people were expected to act in certain spaces, how they interacted. This is a crucial distinction from, say, much of modern design, where utility often reigns supreme. Form follows function. Here, form followed social custom and behavior just as much, maybe even more.
Right. So the design itself reinforces social norms.
Precisely. The core principle we see emerging, therefore, is that the lifestyle of its occupants is strongly and explicitly revealed in their priorities for the use of spaces. Think about that for a moment. The very layout of a home, how rooms are positioned, how they flow into each other, and how they are accessed, directly communicates how people lived, how they interacted, and even what they valued as a society.
Okay, that makes sense.
This brings us to a remarkable cultural revelation. The social mores and values of the period are explicitly revealed in the functions of the different rooms. For example, the very concept of distinct public versus private spaces and how fluid or rigid the transitions between them were speaks volumes about the social hierarchies and the nuances of community interaction at the time. Who was allowed where,
Right, like layers of access.
Exactly. And this extends vertically as well. There's a very clear vertical hierarchy of living spaces within the Bahay na Bato. Generally speaking, the higher the floor, the more significant or public the space was. The ground floor, for instance, was often reserved for practical uses like storage, maybe animal stables in earlier forms, or service areas. It acted as a buffer, protecting the main living quarters upstairs from flood, street noise, maybe even potential uprisings back then.
Practical and defensive, almost.
Sort of, yeah. But the upper floor, accessed by a grand staircase, and the staircase itself, was a statement that was where the family truly lived, entertained, and importantly, displayed their status. This raises an important question for you to consider. What does this distinct vertical arrangement, this elevation of the living spaces, tell us about the social structure and core values of the time?
Well, it sounds like status was key. And maybe keeping the important stuff separate from the everyday grime.
Exactly. It strongly suggests a society where status wasn't just spoken of, but was visibly expressed, where public display and formal interactions held immense importance. The most esteemed activities took place literally above the mundane street-level realities. It's truly a spatial manifestation of a deeply ingrained social order.
That's a powerful point. So the house itself was almost a social contract, dictating who went where and how. That's incredibly insightful. All right, let's truly unpack this. Our sources give us a fantastic floor plan sample for the Bahay na Bato, and looking at it, it's almost like a detailed map of daily life in these homes. It offers a direct window into how families functioned, entertained, and even navigated their social world. What are the essential areas we absolutely need to know about to truly understand the pulse of a Bahay na Bato?
Indeed, it's not just a map, it's a blueprint of colonial Filipino life and a fascinating study in social choreography. Generally, these residential plans include 3 essential categories of areas, each with specific rooms that, when understood, reveal a great deal about the period's customs and values. First, we have the essential areas for living, the heart of the home's daily rhythm and social engagements. The sala is paramount here.
The sala, okay. The main living room, right?
Yes, but more than just a living room. Our sources describe it as the central room, often strategically positioned to face the street or a plaza. This wasn't just any living room, it was explicitly mentioned as the sala mayor, the grand hall where significant parties, formal receptions, and important social gatherings were held. So imagine this as the grandest living room, designed not just for family leisure, but primarily to impress, to accommodate a multitude of guests, and to be a stage for the family's public life. It's where you showed off.
Got it. The showpiece room.
Pretty much. Then, as you ascended the grand staircase, you'd typically arrive at the kaida, also known as kaida. This is a spacious hall or anteroom, often functioning as a grand foyer for informal gatherings.
Like a reception area before the main event.
Exactly. It's a crucial transition space immediately after the stairs, leading you either directly into the formal sala or the comedor, the dining room. What's charmingly unique about its name is that it comes from the Spanish verb caer, meaning to fall.
To fall. Why?
Well, the story goes that this refers to where ladies would gracefully let their voluminous skirts, the saya, sort of fall or settle as they rested or waited after climbing the stairs.
That's brilliant. It paints such a picture.
Doesn't it? It evokes an image of a space for a brief, informal pause, a momentary respite, before entering the more formal reception areas.
So it's not just a physical space, but a social space, a waiting room of sorts, that even its name reflects an activity, a moment of social pause. That's a wonderful detail.
Precisely. And often paired with the kaida is the descanso. While literally just a stair landing, our sources highlight that it was much more than a functional pause point between flights. It ingeniously doubled as an additional seating area, a sort of initial waiting or receiving zone, specifically for tenants or strangers.
So reinforcing that social hierarchy again. Not everyone gets straight into the sala.
Exactly. This points to a nuanced social protocol. Certain visitors, perhaps those of lower social standing or less intimately acquainted with the family, would be received and entertained in this semi-public, semi-private space, underscoring the delicate social stratification that permeated even domestic interactions.
Fascinating. Okay, what else in the essential living areas?
Finally, within these essential living areas, we have the comedor, which is simply the dining space. Its placement is quite logical, always adjacent to the cucina, or kitchen, from which meals were prepared and served. It's where the family gathered for their most intimate daily ritual sharing meals, a central pillar of Filipino family life.
Makes sense. The heart of the home in a different way.
In a way, yes. Moving on, we come to the crucial service areas, the backbone of the Bahay na Bato's functionality. These are often overlooked but are vital. On the ground floor, we find the zaguan, also known as zaguan. This is the main vestibule, described in our sources as Arabic for passageway.
Zaguan. Okay.
It truly served as the main entry portal, large enough for carriages to pass through, making it a vital transitional space between the bustling street entrance and the grand stairs leading to the upper floors. But beyond mere passage, it was a practical and significant storage area, housing carriages, large processional floats used in residual parades.
Wait, floats like parade floats in the house?
Yeah, exactly. The big, ornate carrozas used for saints during fiestas. It tells you these families were often deeply involved in community religious life and had the space and the means to store these huge things. It highlights the multifunctional nature of these homes and the prominence of their owners.
So not just an entry, but a garage and even a parade float storage facility. That immediately gives you a sense of scale and the kind of lifestyle these homes supported.
Absolutely. And then adjacent to or sometimes on the entresuelo, which is a mezzanine level, often with wooden floors at least a meter above the ground, was the oficina.
An office.
Often, yes. It served as an office for the head of the household, but sometimes also as servants' quarters. This explicitly reveals the multi-layered functionality and the clear social stratification within the home, with different levels and spaces dedicated to specific social groups and purposes, from the family's business affairs to accommodating household staff.
Right. Everything had its place.
Pretty much. Up on the second floor, typically located over the aljibe or cistern, usually at the back of the kitchen, was the azotea. This is an open terrace or balcony.
Ah, the azotea. I've
Wow.
heard of that, like an outdoor living space.
Very much so. It was an incredibly versatile space, used for everything from alfresco dining to washing and drying clothes, making it a crucial multifunctional outdoor service area for household chores and informal leisure, ingeniously utilizing open space and sunlight in the tropical climate. A place to catch a breeze.
Nice. And storage.
Of course, the bodega is a storage area, its inclusion in the service areas category, underscoring the practical need for ample space to store provisions and household items in a large, often self-sufficient colonial household. You needed space for everything.
Okay, that covers the service areas. What about the really private parts of the house?
Now let's explore the more intimate private areas, typically found on the second floor, offering sanctuary and personal space. The cuartos are the private rooms or bedrooms.
Cuartos bedrooms. Got it.
These were usually positioned adjacent to the sala, providing both convenience and a distinct separation. Each cuarto was minimally but functionally furnished with essentials: a cama, bed, a tocador dresser, an aparador, cabinet, and a mesa table.
Just the basics, really.
Functionally, yes. This tells us that even within private spaces, there was an expectation of order, essential comfort, and the necessary pieces for daily life, but perhaps not excessive ornamentation compared to the public areas.
Makes sense. And you mentioned something about a prayer room.
Yes, perhaps one of the most culturally revealing private spaces is the oratorio. This was an anteroom specifically designated for prayer, typically where statues of santos, saints, were found. Its very inclusion and dedicated nature is striking. It deeply illustrates the pervasive religiosity and the central, integral role of faith in the daily, private lives of Filipino families during this colonial period.
Wow. So religion wasn't just for church on Sunday.
Not at all. It wasn't just about public displays of piety. It was woven into the very fabric of their domestic existence. Having a dedicated space underscores that.
That's fascinating. A deeply personal space, but one that reflects such a communal, societal value. It truly emphasizes how faith permeated every aspect of life back then. Let's delve deeper into the specific floors, because our sources really provide a detailed breakdown, allowing us to truly visualize the flow of life in a Bahay na Bato. Can we walk through it floor by floor?
Absolutely. It's like walking through history. The ground floor served as both the structural foundation, usually stone, hence Bahay na Bato, and the immediate first impression for anyone approaching the house. The zaguan, as we mentioned, was far more than just an entrance hall. It was a substantial, often imposing transitional space. Its primary function beyond entry was as storage for carriages, and even the grand, elaborate processional floats used during religious festivals. This gives you a tangible sense of the scale of these homes and the affluent, often community-leading lifestyle of their occupants.
And often paved with stone, right? Like cobblestones.
Often, yes. Or sometimes Chinese granite slabs, which were very durable and practical for carriages rolling in and out. Above parts of the ground floor, we often find the entresuelo, that mezzanine level. Its wooden floors, typically at least a meter above the ground, served a dual purpose. It often functioned as an office for the head of the household's administrative or business affairs, but also frequently housed servants' quarters.
So close to the action, but still separate.
Exactly. This arrangement vividly highlights the practical need for an internal administrative hub and, again, explicitly reveals the social stratification where household staff would reside on a distinct, slightly elevated but still ground-level connected tier.
Okay. And the stairs, you said they were important.
Hugely important. The escalera is the grand staircase that immediately commands attention upon entry into the zaguan. It's described as having decorative baluster barandilla on both sides, often intricately carved wood. It wasn't just a means of access, but a significant visual statement of grandeur that led to the upper principal living floors. It was a key architectural feature designed to impress and ceremonially announce one's ascent into the main house.
Like making an entrance.
Precisely. And the landing, the meseta descanso bangsal. As we briefly touched on, it wasn't just a functional pause point. It skillfully served as an additional informal seating area, specifically for tenants or visitors who are not deeply acquainted with the family.
That social filter again.
Right. It reinforced the hierarchical social protocol that meticulously governed who is permitted into the intimate inner sanctums of the home, illustrating a careful management of social access.
And the ground floor might have a courtyard.
Yes, absolutely. A crucial element was the patio, a central courtyard. This was often a key open-air element, ingeniously designed to provide crucial light and air deep into the structure, especially vital for natural ventilation in a tropical climate. It could also serve as an informal gathering space, a private oasis within the larger compound, sometimes with a fountain, plants, a real breathing space.
Lovely. Okay, let's go upstairs, the second floor.
Now, let's truly ascend to the second floor, which was the primary living space where the public and private lives of the family genuinely unfolded. This was usually built of wood, sitting atop the stone ground floor.
Ah, the wood and stone combination. That's key to the Bahay and Bato look, isn't it?
Absolutely. Stone for resilience against the elements on the ground floor, wood for flexibility, lightness, and maybe earthquake resilience upstairs. So first, the kaida, as detailed earlier, remained the spacious antechamber, the inviting foyer immediately after ascending the stairs. Its name, charmingly derived from care, to fall, beautifully refers to the resting place for ladies with their voluminous skirts after their climb. Still a transition zone.
Got it. And the prayer room.
The oratorio, the dedicated prayer room with its precious santos, continued to reiterate the profound religious devotion that was central to the families living there. Its placement on this main living floor, often near the more private quarters, ensured easy daily access for personal prayer and family devotion.
Right. And the star of the show.
The sala, as described, was truly the central leisure and social activity room, the sala mayor, specifically for hosting lavish parties and formal gatherings. This was the showpiece of the home, meticulously designed for entertaining and for showcasing the family's status and refined taste, often the largest room.
Okay. And what's this pasillo volata?
The pasillo volata refers to a gallery or walkway. It's often found at the end of the antesala, sometimes overlooking the patio or the front of the house, or even seamlessly forming part of the sala itself.
Like and an internal balcony.
Sort of, yeah. Or sometimes it was a passageway running along the outside wall behind the main windows, almost like a covered porch integrated into the house. It indicates a highly open, flowing layout, allowing for visual connection between different spaces and an appreciation of the home's various architectural elements and activities, and it could also help with ventilation and shade.
Interesting. Okay, dining.
The comedor, the dining room, remains strategically adjacent to the cocina or kitchen for practical ease of service. And here's where we find that really interesting piece of ingenious climate control. Above the dining area, you'd often find punka.
The fan. Tell me more about that.
Right. This wasn't a modern electric fan, but a large, manually operated ceiling cloth fan. Basically, a huge piece of fabric, maybe framed, hung from the ceiling. It would be pulled by ropes, often by a servant standing discreetly in a corner or an adjacent room, to create a gentle, continuous breeze during meals.
Wow. That's dedication to comfort.
It is, and it offered a surprisingly effective and early form of air conditioning, using human power. This small detail beautifully highlights the clever efforts to adapt to the tropical heat using available technology and labor. It also, again, points to the social structure.
A manually operated fan. That's not only ingenious, but also tells us so much about the social structure. With labor dedicated to maintaining comfort, it paints such a vivid picture.
Doesn't it? The kusina kitchen itself was, as always, the heart of food preparation. It featured a banguera, an open shelf, usually extending outwards from the window, made of bamboo slats specifically designed for drying plates and utensils, allowing for natural air circulation, a perfectly adapted solution for a humid climate. Very practical.
Like a built-in dish rack, but outside the window.
Pretty much, yeah. Keeps the wet dishes out of the main kitchen area and lets the sun and air do the work. The kitchen also included a pugagno, described as igloo-like for cooking. This almost certainly refers to a traditional enclosed hearth or oven structure, built maybe of brick or clay, efficient for cooking over wood or charcoal fires. These practical, climate-adapted solutions were absolutely fundamental to daily life and household management.
Okay. And storage for food.
Adjacent to the kitchen and dining room was the despensa, the pantry, a crucial space for storing food supplies, preserves, and other provisions, essential for managing a large, often self-sufficient household, keeping things cool and organized.
Right. Now, bathrooms. Things were different back then, weren't they?
Oh, very different. The bano, or bathroom, provides a fascinating glimpse into the evolution of hygiene practices. What's truly striking here is its original location. It was originally located in the exterior of the house near the well or cistern that collected rainwaters.
Hillside.
Often, yes. Or in a separate structure connected perhaps by the azotea. This meant a more traditional manual bathing process using large clay jar burnets to store water and a taboo dipper, a dipper usually made from a coconut shell for scooping water, to pour water over oneself.
So no running water initially.
Generally not, relying on rainwater collection or wells. This highlights a significant shift over time as indoor plumbing eventually became available in later periods, truly showcasing technological advancement within the home. It was a big deal to get an indoor bathroom installed.
I bet. And the toilet.
Complementing the bano was the latrina common, the toilet room. This was a receptacle for human waste, often a simple pit or outhouse structure, sometimes connected to the house. And here's another ingenious bit. Ash from the cucina kitchen is poured to eliminate odor.
Ash from the kitchen. Like charcoal ash.
Exactly, wood ash. It's alkaline and absorbent. This is a brilliant example of early localized waste management and deodorizing solutions, demonstrating a practical and resourceful approach to sanitation within the home, using readily available materials.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Right?
Absolutely. The azotea, as we've discussed, the open terrace, was on this floor, serving as a versatile outdoor space perfect for alfresco dining, washing and drying clothes, making the most of the open air and tropical sunlight.
And the water source.
And typically underneath or nearby the azotea, integrated into the structure, was the aljabe, an enclosed masonry structure, basically a cistern, that was absolutely vital for storing rainwater collected from the roof via gutters. This was crucial for the household's entire water supply, especially in a tropical climate with distinct wet and dry seasons, ensuring self-sufficiency, a very important feature.
Essential infrastructure.
Totally. And of course, the cuartos, the private bedrooms, were also on this floor, providing quiet sanctuary for the family members after a day of public and social engagements, complete with their essential furnishings as detailed earlier, usually grouped away from the main sala.
Wow, that's an incredibly comprehensive tour through the internal landscape of a Bahay Bato. We've certainly walked through the layout, understanding the purpose and social nuances of each space. Now let's shift our focus to the surfaces, the textures, the intricate details, the elements that truly define the aesthetic of these magnificent homes. What kind of materials and designs were predominantly used for ceilings, walls, and floors? And what did these choices subtly or overtly communicate about the occupants?
That's a great transition because the surfaces and details are where the artistry and the cultural blend truly come alive. Our sources offer a rich tapestry of details, reflecting both local ingenuity and external influences, creating a truly distinctive aesthetic. Let's start with the interior treatments, the aesthetic foundation. For the ceiling, Kissimmee, we see a fascinating variety. Some dwellings featured elaborate hand-painted designs, think intricate geometric forms like rectangles, ovals, diamonds, and cubes, sometimes even trompe-l'oeil effects. This suggests a highly sophisticated artistic sensibility and a desire for visual richness. Definitely a status symbol.
Wow, painted ceilings. Fancy.
Definitely. Other homes opted for simpler, continuous, and flat ceilings, perhaps just wooden planks, with maybe only subtle hand-painted designs of tendrils and flowers, limiting overt architectural ornamentation. This speaks to a different kind of understated elegance, perhaps a preference for natural motifs.
So different tastes even then.
Oh, yes. And interestingly, our sources also note that embossed tin or metal was used, as seen in some of the examples, particularly in later periods. This provided a more decorative, almost shimmering surface that would catch the light beautifully, often imported.
Tin ceilings, like an old American building.
Similar idea, yeah. For the walls, ding-ding, on the upper floor, these were typically wood panels. They predominantly featured painted surfaces, usually in light, airy tones like beige or dirty white, which would have provided a perfect, reflective backdrop suitable for the tropical climate and help brighten the interior. Occasionally, pale blue and light green hues were incorporated, adding subtle, natural touches of color that evoke the surrounding landscape. Partitioned wooden walls were often coated with paint and designs, allowing for decorative elements even on these dividing structures. Where interior stone walls were present, usually downstairs or in specific areas like kitchens, they were typically plastered white for a clean, cohesive look.
And decorations on the walls.
Yes, for added decoration, friezes, decorative bands line at the tops of wall partitions, serving as a continuous band of visual interest and finishing, sometimes painted, sometimes carved.
I remember reading something really clever about those walls, that they didn't always reach the ceiling. Is that right?
You're absolutely spot on. That's a unique and brilliant characteristic, particularly for the internal partitions between rooms on the upper floor. The presence of dividers that did not reach the ceiling wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was a highly functional design solution.
On airflow, right.
Exactly. It actively promoted crucial air circulation throughout the house, which was absolutely essential in the humid tropical climate, preventing stale air and making the large open spaces more comfortable by allowing hot air near the ceiling to move freely.
Smart. And they had screens, too.
Beyond these fixed dividers, freestanding dividers called biombos were also commonly used. These were essentially folding screens, often made of wood or featuring stained glass panels, providing flexible spatial separation. They allowed rooms to be temporarily sectioned off for privacy or different functions without completely walling off areas. Very versatile.
Like creating temporary rooms.
Kind of. Furthermore, wooden arches often gracefully replaced solid walls to demarcate sections, especially between larger spaces like the sala and calado. This created a wonderfully free-flowing effect and provided greater perceived space. Another testament to intelligent adaptation for tropical living, allowing breezes to move freely through the entire upper floor.
Okay, floors. What were they walking on upstairs?
Upstairs, it was almost always flooring, sahig, made of wide hardwood planks, often beautiful native woods like nara or malav, polished to a high sheen. These wooden floors added warmth and elegance.
And downstairs, you mentioned granite.
Downstairs, yes. At the zaguan, the ground floor entry, Chinese granite slabs were a common and practical choice, indicating early trade connections. But for more prestigious homes, black and white marble tiles, sometimes laid in checkerboard patterns, were used. Being considerably more expensive and rare, this explicitly connoted both status and wealth.
The marble floor test of wealth.
Pretty much. This raises that important question again. How did such specific material choices so clearly and visibly communicate social standing in these homes? It tells us that beyond sheer function, materials were powerful symbols of prestige, economic prosperity, and the ability to import luxury goods.
And the stairs connecting them.
And speaking of luxury, stairways were often made of rare prized wood, specifically nara, further emphasizing the home's grandeur and durability. The craftsmanship on the balustrades could be incredible too.
Okay, windows. These sound complicated and amazing.
They really were sophisticated. The windows, ventana, were often large and designed with multiple layers to adapt brilliantly to the climate. They featured a clever layering of sliding mechanisms. First, you often had the outer layer of translucent kepis shells set in wooden frames. Kepis allowed light to filter in beautifully while diffusing the intense tropical heat and glare, like natural frosted glass.
So beautiful, that pearly light.
Isn't it? Then, inside the capiz, you'd often have louver panels, wooden shutters with adjustable slats called persianas. These were excellent for controlling ventilation and providing privacy while still allowing some air through. And finally, solid wood panels could be slid across for complete enclosure and security, especially at night or during strong storms or typhoons.
Wow, 3 layers. That's versatile.
Incredibly versatile. And in later periods, colored glass was sometimes incorporated into the upper parts or transoms, adding another layer of aesthetic complexity and playful light filtration. This multi-layered approach was incredibly effective for managing light, air, privacy, and security in the tropical setting, a masterpiece of climate-responsive design.
Definitely. And doors.
As for the doors, pinchuan, they were usually a set of double doors for important areas like the entrance to the sala, immediately emphasizing grandeur and accessibility. These grand entrances were typically topped with the transom, a horizontal panel above the door, often pierced or with glass, and sometimes had curtain rods, adding to their decorative and formal appearance. Solid heavy wood was common.
Okay, so those are the main surfaces. What about the smaller but still essential features? You mentioned ventanillas.
Yes. Beyond these main surfaces, several essential interior features were absolutely crucial for both function and intricate detail, showcasing local ingenuity. The ventanilla, or little windows, were small windows positioned immediately under the main wooden casement, hasamano or windowsill.
Right below the big window?
Exactly. They were protected by either sturdy wooden balusters or intricate iron lacework grills, providing security, and they could be closed from behind by sliding wooden panels that ran in grooves in the floor.
Why have them down there?
Brilliant for ventilation. They allowed cool air near the floor level to enter the house, promoting convection currents, even when the main windows were closed for privacy or during rain. Plus, children could look out of them. It's a multi-purpose solution for ventilation while simultaneously providing security and maintaining privacy at lower levels without having to open the larger main windows.
That is really smart design. Okay, what else? Velada.
The velada, or hanging gallery, was typically found near the sala and cuarto. Some sources describe it as not going in directly, indicating it served as a pathway or an observation gallery overlooking main spaces or adjacent to living dining rooms. Sometimes it referred to that external covered walkway we mentioned. It offered a unique, often elevated perspective of the household's activities, adding to the sense of open yet defined spaces.
Right. And calado.
Calado, or pierced transom, refers to those decorative wooden panels, often intricately pierced or carved with beautiful patterns, found high up, usually between the wall partitions and the ceiling, similar to Japanese rama.
The panels that didn't reach the ceiling, but decorative ones too.
Exactly, often located above door frames or along the top of walls. Their explicit and vital purpose was to facilitate the circulation of light and air, making them absolutely essential in a tropical climate by allowing hot air to escape upwards and cooler air to flow freely throughout the upper floor, even when doors were closed. Plus, they added incredible visual detail.
Form and function beautifully combined.
Perfectly. Barandilla were the wooden balusters, specifically on staircases or ventanillas, serving both as crucial structural support and beautiful decorative elements, often intricately carved to add to the home's grandeur.
Okay. Media agua. Sounds like half water.
Media agua, yes, it translates to half water, or more accurately, a canopy over a window, highlights the relentless climate adaptation. In ancestral Bahay na Bato, it was traditionally a scallop-bordered cloth awning. In a simpler Bahay kubo, it might be a nipa palm pushout or awning. In more modern houses, it evolved into a simple concrete ledge.
So like a little roof over the window.
Exactly. Regardless of its form, its function was consistent and vital. Shading the window from the intense overhead sun and driving tropical rain, protecting the interior and its inhabitants, purely practical climate response.
Makes sense. Bandejas.
Bandejas were tray-like decorative panels that sometimes adorned wall sidings, adding another layer of visual interest and texture to the interior surfaces, breaking up large expanses of wall with subtle relief patterns. Less common, but a nice detail.
Okay. And the bangera again?
And finally, the bangera bangerhan, just to reiterate its importance as a feature. A practical and ingenious bamboo or wooden overhang located specifically outside the kitchen window, used as a plate and utensil rack. This was a highly practical, built-in kitchen solution, using readily available local materials for efficient drying and storage, adapting perfectly to the humid environment, essential kitchen tech.
That's incredible. It's clear that every detail, from the material choices to the clever placement of those little windows, was so thoughtfully considered for both aesthetics and intense practicality in a tropical climate. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The furniture in these homes wasn't just decorative, it was incredibly functional, and it often reflected a fascinating blend of cultures. Our sources mention an inhibited mixing of styles. What can you tell us about that? And how did these unique pieces of furniture literally tell a story about the people who use them?
That's a fantastic observation, and it brings us to the very soul of these interiors. Indeed, the furniture in these homes tells a fascinating story of cultural confluence. Pieces in these dwellings often date back to the 1800s, reflecting Spanish influences intertwined with indigenous Filipino craftsmanship and even significant Chinese contributions. The term inhibited mixing is key here. It refers not to a hesitant or reserved approach, but rather to a natural, organic blend, a confident synthesis of diverse influences. It wasn't about rigidly copying a single European style. It speaks to the local artisans taking elements they admired, maybe a leg shape from Europe, an inlay technique from China, and seamlessly integrating them with local materials, techniques, and crucially, local needs and ways of living.
So confident adaptation, not just copying.
Exactly. A Filipino take on global trends. The general principles of furniture arrangement in these homes were quite revealing too. Each grouping of furniture had a definite purpose directly related to the area where it was situated, which makes perfect sense for a functional home. You'd have seating groups in the sala, dining sets in the comedor, etc. However, the main considerations remained comfort and utility, rather than strict stylistic adherence you might see in a European salon, where furniture was often arranged purely for aesthetic display or formal symmetry.
Less fussy, maybe.
Perhaps. Unlike European arrangements, which often had very distinct forms and layouts depending on particular period styles, like Louis XV versus neoclassical, Philippine colonial homes were less restricting in terms of arrangements. This inherent flexibility allowed the furniture to truly function as maps of human behavior alongside the room layout. It reflected how families actually lived, how they socialized, and how they adapted their spaces, rather than simply imposing a static, formal display.
So the furniture layout showed how they used the space.
Precisely. From this cultural blend, we can identify several distinct styles of furniture that emerged, each with its own story and regional flavor. The Batangas style, for instance, emerged in the southern towns of Lipa and Tal as early as the 17th century. It had an unmistakable Chinese influence, evident even in the choice of wood. They followed Chinese preferences, notably using purple and golden brown tindalo, which is similar to rosewood, dense, beautiful, and durable, great for carving.
Tindalo wood. Okay,
Yeah.
what did it look like?
Pieces in this Batanga style were described as big, sturdy, of simple lines with a sensitive division of space and graceful refinement. The ornamentation was often unobstructive with flat, shallow carving, allowing the natural beauty of the wood to shine through. Structurally, horizontal members were tenoned securely to the uprights, showcasing solid, enduring craftsmanship. Think robust, elegant, with subtle Chinese touches.
Okay, and the other style mentioned, baliwag.
In contrast, the baliwag style, which originated in the province of Bulacan, north of Manila, was quite different. It was characterized by the predominant use of narrow wood, another prized local hardwood, but featured intricate bone or carabao, water buffalo, horn inlay. That inlay work is a real signature.
Bone inlay. That sounds intricate.
Very much so. This style also prominently featured cane, or salihia, weaving for seats and backs, which is cooler in the tropics. And it showed a strong European influence, tracing its lineage from the graceful curves of the Queen Anne style all the way to the more linear classical forms of Sheraton furniture.
How did English styles get there?
This European influence can be directly traced back to the 18th century Spanish import of English furniture. England and Spain had complex trade relations. This imported furniture then inevitably reached and inspired local furniture making in the Philippines, leading to this unique baliwag fusion of local materials, inlay techniques, and European forms.
So we're seeing these strong regional identities emerging in furniture, but still absorbing global influences. That inhibited mixing really sounds like confident adaptation rather than timid imitation. Now let's get into some of these specific pieces. Our sources list so many unique items. How did each piece serve a unique social or practical function in the Bahay na Bato? Tell us about some of the most emblematic ones.
You're right, there's a rich catalog, and each piece truly tells a story about daily life, relaxation, status, everything. Let's delve into some of the most emblematic. The Sillon Peresoza, or lazy chair, was a quintessential lounging chair. You see these a lot. Its design was derived directly from Chinese reclining chairs, featuring cane seats for coolness, elegantly crested backs, and either carved or uncarved splayed legs. It was an inclined lounge specifically designed for relaxation in the tropical climate, the perfect spot for an afternoon siesta or just watching the world go by.
The ultimate chill-out chair.
Pretty much. Then there's the more formal salon, or Louis Quinze. This was part of the transcontinental Rococo revival movement, popular during the Victorian era. These chairs typically had cane oval backs, often called medallion backs, with a slightly curved cane seat, short undulating arms, and scrolled curule legs, those curved X-shaped legs, much more reflecting a European sense of ornate elegance and formal comfort.
Okay, more upright, more formal.
Yes. A fascinating variation is the Sillon Fraile, or Silla Frailuna, literally friar's chair. It gained this name because they were commonly found in convents, and it's considered a type of peresosa, or lounging chair.
So a comfy chair for friars.
Apparently. Unlike some of the other lounging chairs, its caned seats were only slightly caned, not deeply arched like the peresosa. The backs were rectangular, with the crest rail often carved with an undulating Baroque motif. Curiously, they had vasiform legs shaped like vases on stretchers, which distinctly differs from the typical X-shaped curule legs often seen on other planters' chairs. A unique hybrid.
Interesting details. What about the butaka? That sounds distinctive.
Oh, the butaka, or plantation chair, is quite distinctive and iconic. It's characterized by its exceptionally extended flat and wide armrests that ingeniously doubled as footstools. You could really sprawl out on them.
Put your feet up on the arms.
Exactly. And it often had those curule-like legs, too.
Mhm.
It was famously known as a haciendero seat, clearly indicating its association with wealthy plantation owners and their more leisurely, comfortable lifestyle. The ultimate seat of power and relaxation on the hacienda.
Got it. Kapia.
The kapia settee was a settee, like a bench or small sofa, specifically patterned after the church pew, which is quite telling. Its design suggests a sense of formality and perhaps served as communal seating within the home. hinting at gatherings or formal occasions beyond just the immediate family, perhaps for prayer meetings or community discussions held in the house.
Like bringing a bit of the church formality home.
Perhaps. Now, one of the most unique and charming pieces, a true reflection of life, is the gallinera.
The chicken coop chair.
That's the one. These were settees often placed in the calado or even the kitchen area, with flat arms, a long back, usually wooden slats, and a solid plank for the seat. What's truly fascinating here is its origin story, which is deeply rooted in local lifestyle. It was born out of a tenant farmer's attachment to his gamecock. Seriously. The farmer needed a coop to confine his beloved rooster, and cockfighting was, and is, a huge deal, so the ingenious idea of utilizing the space underneath a settee emerged. The lower part is enclosed with slats, like a cage.
That is genuinely incredible. A chair designed to house a gamecock. It truly shows how daily life, no matter how unusual, can inspire brilliant, localized design solutions. What else stands out?
So many. The Bato chair is the Philippine counterpart of the famous Vienna bentwood chair designed by Michael Thonet, but with a distinct local twist.
Right.
It uniquely used wrought iron instead of bentwood for the frame, mixed with hardwood for the seat.
Wrought iron instead of bentwood. Why?
Maybe bentwood technology wasn't as developed, or wrought iron was more readily available or durable in the climate. It shows the influence from Thonet furniture designs, but with a distinctly local adaptation of materials and craftsmanship. Still has that airy cafe chair look, but sturdier.
Interesting adaptation. Pamintuan chair.
The Pamintuan or Pamamentana chair, also known as the window or procession high chair, was originally placed strategically near doors or windows. It was often taller than a regular chair. Its specific purpose was to get a good view of the passers-by or watch processions happening in the street below.
A seat for people watching.
Exactly. It highlights a cultural emphasis on social observation, engaging with the community, and witnessing events from the comfort and vantage point of one's home.
Makes sense. Mariposa, butterfly.
Yes, the Mariposa was a sofa with caned seats and back, distinguished by a graceful butterfly-shaped back, giving it its name and a distinctive, elegant aesthetic. Very popular.
Pretty. Divan, like divan.
The divan, was built to serve a dual purpose, as both a comfortable lounge chair and a convenient daybed. It reflects adaptability and multifunctional use within spaces, often transitioning from daytime relaxation to a simple bed at night, maybe for guests or just for napping.
Practical. Dulang.
The dulang was a portable low table, often used for dining while seated on the floor, especially in more traditional or informal settings. It indicates flexible dining or working arrangements, allowing for meals or activities to take place in various parts of the house, adapting to the needs of the moment.
Okay. Mesa altar. Table altar.
The mesa altar was a fascinating hybrid piece, ingeniously described as a cross between a table and commoda, chest of drawers. It usually featured large drawers for storage, supported on 4 legs, often reinforced by a structure below. It frequently showed Ming Dynasty influence with its upward curving flanges or wings at the ends, and was sometimes beautifully inlaid with carabao horn, particularly in the Batangas style. Its dual purpose could be as a side table, a storage unit, and yes, often as a base for a small family altar.
Multitasking furniture. Ball. Like a chest.
Exactly. The ball were simple, highly utilitarian, and strongly built, often dovetailed chests designed to sit directly on the floor. Their only decoration was typically a tongue-like drop called chapa on the front lock plate, often incised with intricate foliate patterns reminiscent of Chinese or Indian brasswork. They had practical iron handles at each side for carrying. They were essential for storing valuables, clothes, textiles like a hope chest or storage trunk.
Secure storage. Commoda.
The commoda was an upright chest of drawers where table linens, silverware, and other small articles were kept. A functional piece crucial for household organization and maintaining order, often placed in the dining room or near it.
Okay. Panadora. Sounds like comber or dresser.
Precisely. The Pinadora was a standard ladies' dresser, complete with drawers for personal effects and cosmetics, and a mounted mirror. A common piece for personal grooming, usually found in the bedroom, cuarto.
And the tremor. Sounds dramatic.
An even more elaborate version of the Pinadora was the tremor. This particular dresser was quite something. It featured 3 full-length mirrors, 2 of which could be adjusted so that the woman could see herself in 3 angles.
A built-in 3-way mirror.
Exactly. This is a fascinating detail, showing a meticulous focus on personal grooming and presentation, perhaps for formal social events where looking perfect was paramount, or simply for the daily routines of a lady of the house who valued appearance. Quite luxurious.
Definitely. Armario.
The armario, also known as almazan or armazon, was a dedicated storage rack or cabinet specifically for beddings and pillows. Almohada is pillow in Spanish. Typically found in a bedroom corner, used for neatly storing rolled-up sleeping mats, banig, and pillows during the day, reflecting practical household management of linens.
Right, keeping the bedroom tidy. Aparador.
Aparador is a generic name for cabinets in Spanish, but in the Philippine context, it was generally used for a wardrobe for clothes, often quite large, and frequently had a mirror attached directly on the door, combining storage for clothing with a practical dressing aid.
Okay. Tres de Luna. 3 moons.
A specific type of aparador was the tres de luna, or 3 moons, distinguished by having a mirror on each of its 3 doors, offering ample reflection for dressing, almost like a compact, built-in dressing room within the wardrobe itself, even more elaborate than the single-mirror aparador.
Lots of mirrors. Vajinera.
The vajillera was a beautiful glass cabinet, like a display case or china cabinet, specifically for storing and displaying fine china, vajilla, and silverware. Its presence signaled hospitality, refinement, and a desire to showcase the family's prized dining ware, often imported and valuable, usually found in the Commodore.
Showing off the good china.
Bastonero. The bastonero was simply a hat and cane rack. Baston means cane. A very functional piece, usually placed near the entrance, reflecting the common accessories, hats, and walking canes used by gentlemen of the time. Practical necessity.
I gotta put your hat somewhere. Cuna.
And of course, the cuna was simply a baby crib, often made of wood or rattan, demonstrating the completeness of the family unit within these homes, from the eldest to the youngest members.
Okay. And one more. Ate bed.
Finally, the ate bed was a distinctive 4-poster bed named after its renowned maker, Eduardo Ate. He was a highly skilled Chinese craftsman working in Binondo, Manila. He was known for often carving unique calabaza, squash, or pumpkin motifs into the bedposts, a sort of signature. This highlights the significant contribution of skilled Chinese artisans to Filipino furniture making and the beautiful blend of cultural artistry. These beds were highly sought after.
A signature squash. That's fantastic. What an astonishing array of furniture, each with its own story and cultural echo. Beyond the core structure and these incredible main pieces of furniture, what else filled these homes? What kind of accessories and decorative elements were present? And what does it all tell us about the aesthetic philosophy and priorities of the period?
You're right to ask about the details, because the accessories are incredibly rich, showing a fascinating blend of practical items, imported luxuries, and, perhaps most importantly, deeply cherished heirlooms. It truly paints a vibrant picture of the lives lived within these walls. First and foremost, our sources emphasize a profound cultural value that permeates the entire home. Owners carefully maintain and treasured their ancestors' possessions as family heirlooms left untouched in their original sites.
So they didn't just redecorate on a whim.
Not usually with the inherited core pieces. This speaks volumes about an ingrained respect for heritage, a sense of continuity, and a deep connection to their lineage. These weren't just decorative objects to be rearranged or discarded. They were living symbols of family history, passed down through generations, holding memories and status.
That's a lovely sentiment. What kind of specific items did they have?
Looking at specific accessories, we find a delightful mix. For lamps and illuminations, we see both simple and elaborate forms. Pressed glass was common for shades and oil fonts, providing a basic, functional light source for kerosene lamps. However, hall lamps or chandeliers, arañas, often featured glass shades in vibrant colors like turquoise, amber, and opal. Practical Dutch pulley lamps that could be adjusted for height were also used, allowing adjustable ambiance.
Pulley lamps, like you could raise or lower them.
Exactly, very handy. The bases for lamps varied, including white pressed glass, pewter, brass, and tin pedestals, noted as having replaced more traditional porcelain in some cases, indicating evolving tastes and material availability through trade.
Okay, tableware.
Tableware included impressive pieces like large tureen sets for serving soup or stew, and intricate Cantonese porcelain pieces, plates, bowls, tea sets, suggesting formal dining and the extensive reach of international trade networks that brought these luxuries to Filipino homes. Owning fine china was a big deal.
Right. What about fun things?
For toys and leisure items, the homes contained things like picture blocks for children, traditional mahjong sets, still popular, santorin, a type of Muslim chess suggesting regional connections, sungkachonka, a traditional Filipino board game played with shells or seeds on a wooden board, and standard chess sets. This demonstrates a variety of pastimes and intellectual pursuits, reflecting both local traditions and international influences on recreation and family entertainment.
Sounds like they kept busy.
Yeah.
Plants?
Flower pots and stands were present, often featuring colorful vases described as carnival glass, that iridescent pressed glass popular in the early 20th century. Adding splashes of color and life to the interiors, a nod to bringing the tropical outside in. Filipinos love plants.
Definitely. Lavadora.
Lavadora were simple washstands, often a basin on a stand, sometimes with a pitcher. Practical items for basic personal hygiene like washing hands and face, often kept in bedrooms or hallways, predating full bathrooms.
Right. And Santos.
Santos, statues of saints, were ubiquitous. Carved from wood or ivory, sometimes ornately dressed, often prominently displayed in the oratorio, but also in other areas of the house like bedrooms or the sala, reinforcing the deep and pervasive religious devotion of the families. They were cherished and often considered powerful protectors.
Okay. What else?
Embroideries and adornment included things like finely embroidered piña cloth items, pineapple fiber, and crucifixes crafted out of precious silver and wood, indicating not just religious piety, but also a high level of fine craftsmanship and artistic investment in religious objects.
Beautiful craftsmanship.
Perfect.
Cooking.
Regarding cookware, the mention of rice cakes being molded hints at specific culinary practices and the specialized tools used for preparing traditional Filipino dishes, like kakanin, rice cakes, giving us a glimpse into the daily domestic activities of the kitchen.
Yum. Vases.
For vase and pots, we find beautiful Imari Oriental vases, Japanese porcelain, known for its bright colors and intricate designs, further showcasing a global reach in their decor and the appreciation for fine imported goods.
Okay. And figurines.
And for bottles and figurines, Filipiniana perfume bottles were mentioned, suggesting imported or locally made scents, and genre figurines, known as tipos del país, were present. These figurines were particularly significant as they depicted local scenes or characters: a water carrier, a woman selling fruit, a farmer. They celebrated Filipino identity and daily life, a wonderful example of cultural self-representation within the home.
Like little snapshots of local life.
Exactly. Now let's consider the overarching aesthetic standards. Filling the space, the manner of decorating interior spaces reflected the aesthetic standards of the time. These standards were, as the sources say, greatly influenced by Spanish and European norms that were a blend of dominant religiously classical convention and elite conservatism. This explains the grandeur, formality, and sometimes ornate nature often associated with these homes, echoing European tastes. Formal portraits, heavy curtains, that sort of thing.
So following the European lead.
To an extent, yes. But what's truly fascinating here, and uniquely Filipino perhaps, is its eclectic character, as it echoed a Filipino penchant for covering space, which stems from the experience of tropical environment.
A penchant for covering space. You mean like filling it up? Horror vacui.
Sort of, yes. Not necessarily horror vacui in the negative sense, but a tendency to fill spaces. This isn't just about collecting, it's about a fundamental approach to space itself. Furniture and ornaments, despite the large rooms, were often arranged in compact groupings.
Why group things tightly in big rooms?
It might seem counterintuitive for open spaces, but perhaps suggests creating intimate vignettes or functional zones within larger rooms. Almost a way of making grand spaces feel more accessible, lived in, and well, full, not leaving large empty areas.
That's a profound thought, a penchant for covering space that stems from the tropical environment. What does that mean exactly? And how does it connect to that incredible quote from Dean Geronimo Manahan you mentioned earlier?
It's truly insightful. This raises an important question, one that truly brings this deep dive to life, as you said. Dean Geronimo Manahan, a prominent Filipino architect and educator, offered a profound cultural lens through which to understand this deep dive. He stated, Filipinos' reaction to alienation is the extremely opposite to closeness. To compensate for this, he needs to fill up every space with form.
Reaction to alienation, meaning?
Perhaps the alienation of the colonial experience, or maybe just the vastness of nature, he continues. For he believes that things are connected. In the cosmic order, that all things are alive, this sees reflection in his home regardless of time and space.
Wow. So filling space is about connection.
That's what Dean Manahan suggests. That this inclination to fill spaces isn't merely decorative or a matter of accumulating wealth or showing off. Instead, it's deeply philosophical, a cultural antidote to a sense of emptiness or disconnect. In a world where perhaps there was uncertainty or a feeling of being an outsider due to colonial rule, filling one's personal space with objects, patterns, and forms becomes a way of creating a tangible sense of belonging, connection, and life. It reflects a core belief, maybe subconscious, in the interconnectedness of all things, where every object, every filled space contributes to a vibrant, living cosmic order within the home. It transforms what might seem like mere decoration or even clutter to modernize into a profound cultural statement, a deeply felt need for closeness and wholeness, making the home a truly alive and meaningful sanctuary.
That's incredibly powerful. The idea that filling a space isn't just about decor, but about a deep, almost spiritual need for connection and meaning. It changes how you look at those crowded, antique-filled rooms. To bring all these incredible details and philosophical underpinnings to life, our sources provide glimpses into actual historical homes, allowing us to see how these principles were applied. Let's take a closer look at Casa Manila, Casa Gorordo, and Posada La Patriciana. What specific features from these examples jump out at you, truly illustrating everything we've been discussing?
These case studies are absolutely invaluable precisely because they show how these principles were applied in tangible, lived examples of everything we've covered, turning concepts into concrete reality. Seeing the actual spaces makes all the difference. Let's start with Casa Manila in Intramuros, which, although a reconstruction, is based meticulously on an original 1850s house. It offers a window into mid-19th century affluent life in Manila.
Okay, Casa Manila, what do we see there?
Externally, we immediately see the balcon barandillas, the classic balconies with their elegant wooden or wrought iron railings, inviting residents to observe street life below a key feature. We note the sturdy ding-ding, the vertical structures, stone downstairs, wood upstairs at enclosed and divided space. Crucially, the Persian louver doors and windows are prominent, those sophisticated wooden frames with thin, slanting slats, fixed or movable, expertly designed for solar protection and to admit natural light and air, perfect for the tropical climate while maintaining privacy. And of course, the Grand Pinto Porta principle is the main entry door, signaling the importance of the house and its owners.
Classic Bahay na Bato elements. Inside.
Internally, Casa Manila features impressive details. A bobadera, a vault or masonry enclosure applying arch principles, might be seen in lower areas, indicating sophisticated construction techniques. The impressive span, the clear, unsupported distance of arches or vaults is also highlighted in the descriptions. The robust ding-ding walls define the spaces, and certain unspecified pendants hanging from the ceiling add to the interior ornamentation, likely for lighting fixtures.
And the courtyard.
Outdoors, the Lubang Bakaran, or courtyard, is a central open space enclosed by the building wings, functioning as a vital internal oasis for light and air, providing natural ventilation and a private outdoor retreat within the dense urban fabric of Intramuros, often the heart of the ground floor activities.
Okay, upstairs living spaces in Casa Manila.
Within the living spaces, the kisame, or ceiling, is noted in parts as plain white planks, providing a clean, bright aesthetic that allowed light to reflect throughout the room. Lampara, or lighting fixtures, made of glass and metal, provided illumination chandeliers and wall sconces. We find furniture examples like a quintessential ballywag-style table and a graceful Mariposa sofa showcasing the blend of local and European furniture styles we discussed. The sahig, or flooring, consists of rich, wide wooden planks, contributing to the warm, natural feel of the home. Calado, the upright ornamental wood panels with their intricate decorative patterns, are beautifully present above doors and walls, facilitating airflow and adding visual interest. There might also be wall paintings murals, sometimes floral or scenic designs painted directly on the wood walls.
Very decorative.
Yes. You can appreciate the perspective from the escalera, emphasizing the grand staircase and its role in the entry experience. The stately pinchuan door, the ingenious punka, the manually operated ceiling cloth fan in the dining room, and the layered ventana window are all key functional and aesthetic features. For storage and display, a beautiful vajillera china cabinet is present in the dining room, along with a pinador dresser in a bedroom, specific Commodore furniture, lavadero washstands in hallways or bedrooms, and a comfortable cama bed, illustrating the full complement of household items and the complete domestic life lived within these walls.
Really feels like a complete home. The kitchen.
In the kitchen service area, cocina of Casa Manila, we see practical, robust construction. A turante, tie beam showing the structure, maybe red brick ding-ding for the walls near the cooking area for fire safety, and a dedicated cooking area with a sturdy mesa table and shining brass skillets and clay pots. The flooring here is practical vegan tiles, known for their durability and coolness. An aljibe, water cistern, is likely nearby or below, and a banguera rejan extends from the window. A small ventanilla, small window, provides localized ventilation, and bintang capiz windows, might be used here too, all showcasing a highly functional and climate-adapted kitchen design.
Very practical back there. And the courtyard again.
The courtyard patio area often includes a charming fountain, providing cooling, evaporation, and pleasant sound. There's usually a hallway or arcade going to the patio courtyard, durable stone floors, and more ventanillas opening onto it from surrounding rooms, reinforcing its role as a well-designed, semi-private outdoor space integral to the home's airflow and light.
It's clear how every element was tailored for the climate and lifestyle. Let's move south to Casa Gorordo in Cebu. What insights does this specific house, an actual family home preserved, offer into our discussion?
Casa Gorordo is another fantastic example, originally owned by a prominent Cebuano family. It showcases both shared characteristics and unique regional adaptations, maybe some Visayan touches. Structurally, it features exposed costillaje, ceiling joints or rafters, robust ding-ding, stone walls on the ground floor, and practical vegan tiles for flooring downstairs, providing a sturdy and enduring foundation.
Okay, ground floor.
On the ground floor, we find the caballerisa, which would have been where the house owner's carriage was, garaged caballo, meaning horse, once again indicating the affluent lifestyle of the Principalia class, the native elite who own these homes.
Right, the carriage house. What about the entrance?
The foyer stair area at Casa Gorordo provides that particularly broad example of social protocol and action we mentioned. The source states, "The view of the foyer from the descanso, a receiving area by the foot of the stairs leading up to the Taz, upstairs. Protocol prohibits the entry of those not well acquainted with the family. If such person were to visit, the man of the house would receive him right there on the landing or ground floor."
So clear. Space dictating behavior.
Exactly. It's a remarkable example of how the physical space literally dictated social interaction. The staircase itself features a tramo escalera, flight of stairs, and beautifully crafted barandilla railings, a testament to the importance of the ascent to the main living quarters.
Okay, upstairs at Casa Gorordo.
On the upper floor, the kissimmee ceiling is either plain white planks or features delicate hand-painted designs of tendrils and flowers, offering variations in aesthetic choice. Capis ventana, capis windows, are present, along with calado for ventilation and bayambos for flexible spatial division, demonstrating the continued importance of these decorative and functional elements. Lighting includes a lovely Tiffany lamp with colored floral shades, suggesting a more modern decorative choice for its time, likely imported and showing evolving tastes. Accessories like a quaint Japanese tea set and various plant stands are visible, showcasing the family's tastes and global connections. The sahig flooring is wood, and the walls are wood panel walls, creating a warm atmosphere. Furniture includes examples like thonnet bentwood chairs, reflecting European influence again, and a comfortable cama bed in the bedroom. Persian louver windows are also present for climate control. And significantly, an altar with santos is a prominent feature, reinforcing the family's deep religious observance.
Okay, and the suitor's corn, that sounds unique.
A truly unique and culturally rich space at Casa Gorordo is the Suitor's Corner. This area, strategically overlooking the stairwell and situated in one of the most public and well-lit spaces of the upper floor, vividly highlights the traditional Filipino courtship custom, which rigorously required chaperoning.
So everyone could keep an eye on them.
Pretty much. This specific corner allowed for a semi-private conversation, but one that was publicly observable, ensuring propriety. The girl would sit here with her suitor, often with a chaperone nearby. A fascinating detail is that gold ribbons and anahaw palm frond motifs were painted on the ceiling by a recent conservation team to brighten the space, as the walls retained their original paint, showcasing ongoing efforts to preserve these historical homes while adapting them for public viewing.
Wow. What else was special there?
The library in Casa Gorordo further reveals the family's dedication to education and their varied interests. It's filled with maps, books, small art pieces from the turn of the century, a vintage 1920s typewriter, and a 1940s globe, providing a tangible glimpse into their intellectual life and their engagement with the wider world beyond Cebu.
The suitor's corner really brings that social protocol to life. You can almost see the scene playing out. And the evolution of hygiene is also fascinating, isn't it? You mentioned the bathroom.
It is indeed. The bathroom at Casa Gorordo offers a particularly illuminating glimpse into changing times and technological advancement. The source notes, bathroom fixtures were imported by the Gorordo family to Cebu, so a baño could be built in the house sometime in the 1930s. Before indoor plumbing became available, bathing areas were located in a separate area outside called the panta.
So they added it later, importing the fixtures.
Exactly. This detail clearly showcases a significant technological advancement and the evolution of hygiene practices over time, moving from external basic facilities reliant on cisterns and dippers to internalized modern plumbing systems. A real marker of progress and increase in comfort, probably a major renovation.
Okay, one more example. Posada La Patriciana. What's special here?
Finally, let's turn our attention to Posada La Patriciana, which is presented as another historical house example. Here, the ceiling, kisame, is noted as unique with a distinct geometric design or a palm frond motif, pelasmus, a beautiful local motif recurring throughout the house, anchoring it to its cultural roots. And there's a specific artistic detail. A series of stylized aspa de Borgoña, cross of Burgundy or St. Andrew's cross, a symbol from the Spanish Siglo de Oro era, were painted on the ceiling or walls by Guy Custodio, a renowned restorer of Spanish colonial artworks. This specific detail directly connects the space to historical artistry and the ongoing meticulous efforts to preserve these cultural treasures.
Oh, specific historical motifs.
Yes. Other features mentioned include the espejo, which literally means mirror, but in this context likely refers to the space between the window header and the eaves, perhaps filled with decorative piercing or glass, allowing more light in high up. A grand Aranya chandelier would have provided central illumination and a focal point. The pasillo hallway and the elegant escalera staircase are prominent functional elements. We also see colonnettes, which are thin, slender decorative columns, maybe dividing spaces or framing openings, adding a refined architectural touch. And beautiful sahig, wooden floors. Furniture includes a gallinera, that remarkable chicken coop settee we discussed, and a practical mesa with silla, table with chair. Lighting is provided by a classic lampara, and the stately capiz pinto and double door is a prominent feature. These elements collectively illustrate the architectural and design choices that made each Bahay na Bato unique while sharing core characteristics that define the style.
It's astounding how much individual character these homes retained, even within a shared architectural style. The details really vary. Our sources also briefly touch on other areas of Philippine design beyond the residential Bahay na Bato. What else can we quickly glean from the provided material about other important structures or design movements that shaped the Philippine aesthetic?
That's right. While our deep dive has quite rightly focused heavily on the residential Bahay na Bato, as it's so rich in detail, the sources do acknowledge other important facets of Philippine design, especially the profound influence of religious architecture, which often served as the grandest expressions of art, engineering, and community effort in colonial times.
The churches, you mean?
Exactly. For church interior spaces, the retablo, or altarpiece, is mentioned as a key feature, a central, often massive and highly ornate, gilded and carved structure behind the main altar, housing statues of saints. It was the visual and spiritual focus. Several specific churches are named, which are iconic examples of Filipino religious architecture, often UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We have the Manila Cathedral, the mother church in the capital. Paui Church in Ilocos Norte is highlighted for its impressive sanctuary and vaulted ceiling as viewed from the nave and its majestic main entrance. The source notes details like trompe-l'oeil depicting visions of purgatory around the rose window are heavily soiled, indicating intricate artistry, religious themes, and the effects of time.
Painted illusions on the walls.
Yes, trompe-l'oeil was popular. San Agustin Church in Intramuros, another architectural marvel and the oldest stone church in the Philippines, is noted for its unique communion booths with arched roofs resembling the church's facade and a captivating view from the choir loft, showcasing the detailed interior and functional elements of these grand structures. Its painted ceiling is also famous trompe-l'oeil, mimicking coffers. San Sebastian Church, the all-steel church in Manila, and Miagawa Church in Iloilo, famous for its facade depicting St. Christopher carrying the Christ child amidst local flora like coconut palms, are also listed, signifying their importance as architectural examples, though fewer specific interior details are provided for them in our sources. This section collectively indicates the profound influence and immense artistic and communal investment in religious architecture during the colonial period. They were central to life.
Makes sense. And anything about more modern times?
Briefly, yes. Our sources also glance towards modern Filipino design, listing the iconic Metropolitan Theater in Manila, a beautiful Art Deco structure, and the unique Coconut Palace, commissioned by Imelda Marcos and made extensively of coconut lumber and products. These inclusions suggest a transition towards more contemporary structures and architectural styles in the Philippines beyond the colonial era, demonstrating how Filipino design continued to evolve using new forms and materials. However, it's important to note that the provided material does not go into the same depth of detail for these modern examples as it does for the Bahay na Bato, which clearly remains the central, rich focus of our exploration today. They serve as a brief but important acknowledgement of the ongoing evolution of Philippine design.
Got it. A hint of what came later. So what does this all mean for us? We've truly journeyed through the Bahay na Bato, from its grand, welcoming entrances, the zaguans, to its most intimate private rooms, the cuartos and oratorios. We've explored everything from those ingenious bunka fans, those early climate control devices, to the quirky Gallinera settees, born from a farmer's attachment to his gamecock. We've seen how design isn't just about creating pretty things, but about culture, climate, status, social interaction, and deep-seated beliefs, all embedded in every choice, every material, and every layout decision.
Indeed. We've truly seen how Filipino interior design, particularly as embodied in the Bahay na Bato, is such a nuanced and fascinating blend. You have local innovation like the ventanillas and bangeras. You have brilliant adaptation to the tropical environment, the high ceilings, the airflow from the calados, the layered windows. And you have these rich influences from various cultures, especially Spanish and Chinese, but synthesized into something uniquely Filipino. It's a powerful testament, I think, to how knowledge is most valuable when understood and applied within its context. It shows us there's always more to learn and uncover from the spaces we inhabit, from the most grand sala designed to impress, down to the most utilitarian bangera helping dry the dishes. These homes were designed for a complete way of life, reflecting every facet of it.
This deep dive truly reveals how deeply intertwined a home's design is with the lives, values, and even the social choreography of its occupants. You really can read the house. It's truly a map of human behavior, as Dean Manahan so eloquently suggested, reflecting perhaps that profound, almost primal need to connect and fill every space with meaning and a sense of cosmic order, especially in a colonial context.
That philosophical underpinning adds such a layer of depth, doesn't it? It's not just architecture, it's a cultural expression at its most intimate level.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a provocative thought for you, our listener, to mull over. If the Bahay na Bato was such a meticulously crafted reflection of its time, its climate, its social structures, its beliefs designed to fill every space with meaning and connection, how might understanding these historical principles inspire the way we design and live in our spaces today? What stories do our homes, in their own unique ways, tell about our own values, our lifestyles, our connections, or perhaps disconnections to our environment and the world around us? Something to think about.